Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I'm going to be covering another infinite health build, but this time focusing on a different exotic. An exotic that is more focused on just shredding through things with all of your abilities and, staying alive that way. So yeah, let's get into this. Alright, so the exotic we will be using is the Heart of Inmost Light. This is a phenomenal Titan exotic. And basically what it does is when you use an ability, it will empower the other two abilities that you didn't use. So, for example, if I throw my melee, my mini hammer, and I kill something with it, my grenade and my barricade will be empowered. And what that does is it means that my grenades and my melee do more damage, and the barricade has more health. But that last part doesn't really matter because we're not going to be using the barricade as a barricade. We're just going to be using it for health. Like our own health. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the exotic. Very powerful, and because of course it focuses on your abilities, I highly recommend going for triple 100 in resilience, discipline, and strength, because of course barricade is tied to resilience, discipline for grenade, and then strength for melee. And since all three of those are extremely important in keeping everything up with Heart of Inmost Light, you should have triple 100 in those stats. So, mods. It's pretty straightforward. Most of it is going to be tied to just staying alive and whatnot. But first off, we have Melee Wellmaker and Elemental Ordnance. Pretty much, Melee Wellmaker is spawn a well that matches your subclass when you get a powered melee kill. Since we're going to be doing a lot of that to maintain Heart of Inmost Light, and because, of course, the baby hammer is infinite, unless I throw it away and lose it, we're going to be making a lot of wells from that. And then I have Elemental Ordnance, again, as mentioned, because this is basically just the grenade version of Melee Wellmaker, and we're going to be using a lot of grenades, a lot of melees, so these are very just valuable mods to have really good uptime on my my wells. Now, with these wells, we are going to be using these for Well of Life. I had the wrong mod in there for some reason, but we are using these for Well of Life, of course. Well of Life is a very valuable mod, and it gives health, and that aids in keeping us, in God mode with permanent health. So, yeah, we have two sources of wells. They're going to be up very frequently, and then when we pick up those wells, we get Well of Life, which just gives us health regen for 10 seconds. Which is pretty awesome. Then I have Radiant Light for stats, of course, because I want 100 strength, which is good. And then, as for the little mods that you want in between, we want Siphons so that we can fuel Recuperation. Recuperation is a very valuable mod. Basically, picking up orbs gives you health. So, we want to be making orbs with our guns when we use them, and then we get Recuperation out of that, get health. I have Momentum Transfer to cycle grenades into melee, because I think the melee is very valuable. Losing the melee is quite detrimental. Since it is infinite, it means I can infinitely empower my barricade and my melee. No, and my grenade, sorry. And losing that, I think, is just not good. We already have a very fast melee cooldown, because I have 100 strength, and we have Heart of Inmost Light. But every little helps, right? And plus it activates Radiant Light as well, so I kind of need it in there. But it is valuable outside of that. And then, as for the chest piece, because I don't have this masterwork yet, I do recommend having resists. Armor of the Dying Star is very valuable, and then really anything else you can get here. But elemental resistances are good overall. These are also still amazing, of course, but elemental resistances are very, very valuable. But you could use whatever you want there. You could use reserves if you want. So, you don't have to have resists, but resists do help in keeping you alive and maintaining the God mode state. So I do recommend that. And then finally, our most important mod is Classy Restoration. So, of course, the reason why I have this is because activating my solar class ability, which would be the barricade in this case, grants restoration ×2 as well. The big boy restoration for 10 seconds, I think. Pretty sure it's 10 seconds. So you have 10 seconds of that, and because of Heart of Inmost Light, and because I'm spamming almost infinite grenades in melee, I will get my barricade before those 10 seconds actually runs out. It's a much faster time than 10 seconds, especially since I have utility kickstart here, which gives me a little bit more class ability energy every time I use it. So yes, the class ability, my barricade will recharge faster than 10 seconds is up. But we do have another piece of the build that will make keeping that restoration up permanently, regardless of how quickly my class ability can cool down. So let's get to the subclass. The super is irrelevant in this case. I do recommend using Burning Maul because 1, it is getting buffed, and 2, it has a faster cooldown. So if you want to use your super as a panic option, having the faster cooldown super is better overall, but you could use whatever you want here. We are using Rally Barricade for the health, of course, and for the faster cooldown. With all of this stuff combined, it is going to be under 10 seconds. I'm not sure what the cooldown for Towering Barricade would be, but it's probably about the same, honestly, so you could use whichever you want, but I just prefer Rally because it gives you a lot of bonuses. It's faster cooldown, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Then, of course, we're using the Throwing Hammer because it's infinite, and it's going to make empowering our other abilities very easy. I'm using Fusion Grenades because they're the most satisfying to use. They have a very fast cooldown by default, and they are also quite powerful paired with Heart of Inmost Light. Then we have Sunspots, just for added restoration on the side, since almost all of our abilities are going to create Sunspots, and they will give us restoration, and we can increase the restoration with our Barricade and also with a Fragment coming up. So this is still very valuable. It also ignites and scorches, which is going to be nice. So, you know, for ad clear and just for keeping things at bay. So yeah, Sol Invictus, still amazing. Highly recommend. Then I am using Roaring Flames. Now, I'm not sure if Roaring Flames stacks with Heart of Inmost Light. I actually don't think it does, because I wasn't seeing very big damage changes when I had Roaring Flames up versus not having Roaring Flames up with Heart of Inmost Light. But it does allow ignitions to do more damage, and that still does work even with Heart of Inmost Light. So that will increase the Sunspot damage when it ignites, which is very good. But yeah, I guess I'm using this mostly for the super damage increase and ignitions, and then also double fragments, since Consecration doesn't have 2 fragments yet. But you could be watching this video after it's already gotten that buff and it does have double fragments. If that's the case, then you can 100% use Consecration until I get confirmation that Roaring Flames does stack. If Roaring Flames doesn't stack, then yeah, Consecration probably is the better option after the buff. But you can really use whatever you want. I'm still going to use Roaring Flames probably because of the super increase and the ignite increase. But anything goes. Alright, so for Fragments, we are using powered melee hits make me radiant because, of course, we're going to be doing a lot of melee attacks to keep up Heart of Inmost Light. So all of my weapons doing 25% more damage almost permanently is very, very valuable, I think. Then I'm purely using Ember of Wonder for the triple 100 right now. Of course, if I masterworked my Heart of Inmost Light, I wouldn't need this anymore because I'd already have triple 100 because I'm about to hit over the limit of Resi. So, for anyone who can get triple 100 without this, use this mod right here, Ember of Singeing. You just get your class ability back faster when you Scorch. Everything in the build scorches, so this is very valuable, and we want as many class abilities as we can, because every single one of them will give us restoration ×2, and save us from almost any encounter, so I do highly recommend having this on. Technically, if you really don't care about getting it as fast as possible, you could use whatever you want. This is an anything goes slot right here. Also, if you want to use Consecration now, and you can get triple 100, then you can sacrifice this Fragment slot, because nothing really needs to get put in here. So that's also an option as well. But yeah, I'm using this purely for the triple 100 right now until I can masterwork my heart. So yeah. Then, next up we have Ember of Empyrean, which is going to basically make our Restoration and Radiant buffs infinite, without having to put down all this other stuff, without having to use my melee, without having to put down my Barricade. Because we are using a solar weapon in the build, and also ability Final Blows will extend the duration of both of those things. And we're going to be using a lot of abilities, and we're going to be getting a lot of ability kills, because that's what Heart basically makes you do. So, yeah, infinite restoration and radiant, infinite god mode. You will never die, and you will always have a damage buff. It's great. And then I have Ember Char, which is my solar ignition spread Scorch to affected targets. This is just mainly here for ad clear and just to keep enemies at bay. We are using a Scorch weapon. We're also using Sol Invictus, and all of my abilities apply Scorch, including my regular melee because of Roaring Flames ×3. I forgot to mention that. That is an upcoming buff. So, yeah, this is just a nice little thing to have. Technically, you could have anything else there as well, but I think the Solar Ignition Spreading Scorch is quite valuable. And then finally, to top it all off, of course, again, I have the Callus Mini Tool with Incandescent, which basically applies Scorch every time I get a kill with it. This is a busted perk, especially for a build like this. So, yeah, when you do decide to use your weapon outside of using these abilities, and also, you know, when you want to use your weapon and make the orbs to get recuperation, you will spread a lot of Scorch, and that means killing a lot of enemies much quicker and much easier. So that's the build. I'm going to show a little bit of gameplay, just showing the cycle of the abilities and how they can shred through things very easily. Let me know what you think of the build. Let me know what you think of the exotic as well. I know this exotic is a very, very powerful one, a fan favorite. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and adios.